Hey, sister.
Hey, sister.
Join me, Courtney Lewis,
And me, Carley Ferguson,
in our conversational podcast about everyday situations.
You can count on us to tell it to you straight with our own sisterly spin.
Consider this a phone call with your own Southern sisters as we discuss with you personal accountability, healthy relationships, managing responsibilities, and contributing to society.
Each episode will consist of straight talk and a call to action.
Your sisters are calling.
Thanks for answering.
Welcome to Hey Sister. This is episode 19, Purge. I had to say it with an exclamation point.
I love it. I heard the exclamation.
So Carley and I are really excited about this month. As we promised last week, this month we are focusing on spring cleaning, and we're going to be diving into different ways that you can freshen up your home this spring. Today, we're going to give an overview of what it means to edit your home. Carley introduced me to this word edit, and I was like, editing only has to do with journalistic things. I don't know what you're talking about, but she's going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And over the next few weeks, we're also going to talk about organizing your home, how to clean your home effectively, and also how to freshen up your space. With all that said, Carley, why don't you explain what it means to edit your home?
Yeah. The term I got from a series on Netflix that I binged. So our title is Purge, but this great series called The Home Edit. And recently, really, there have been so many more accounts on Instagram and shows on Netflix or other platforms about cleaning and organizing our home. I think with this pandemic and being at home more often, we're all really focusing on cleaning and organizing, which is awesome. With that comes taking things out of our house. We get this idea of a huge mountain of clothes, and then you have to sort through it as fast as you can. And it's yes or no, yes or no. It's really hard for me to be decisive. I have to cheer myself on, be decisive with things. So when something is given to me, I don't have a hard time getting rid of things, but I do have a hard time over analyzing and thinking about something for a long time. And I don't know if any of y'all have that same feeling. So when I go to edit something, I have to think through it. I have to have some kind of reason to get rid of it. And how do I get rid of it? Sometimes I think of it as black and white, like I either keep or I trash, but really it's a spectrum. I've thought about it like you have your junk pieces, the things that should not be here anymore. It is taking up space. It has no life left in it. You can easily trash it. Those feel good because you know that is the right place for that item. But then it starts getting a little more gray, a little harder to distinguish. We have things that are dingy that could use maybe a new life, some TLC to them, but are fine. But we don't want to use them. We don't want people to really know that they're ours in a way. It's a nightstand that has water rings all over it and a missing drawer pull, but it's been there for so long, it's almost harder to get rid of. So those are like the dingy pieces. And then you have things that have character, and it's a sweater that you have loved, but man, it is so worn out. It's not really got the same shape to it, but you have loved it. And if you were to think about those questions, sometimes we think of, would I buy this again? It's like, not in the state it's in right now. That's like character, things with character, things that we love, but are not as good as they used to be. And then you have things that have potential. So those are the ones that really, I feel like, take up a lot of our heart space, where we're like, that would be so nice to get to that project, to really make that shine like I envisioned it, or this box of craft stuff. If you have followed Cass with the Clutter Bug, we recommend her.
I will put her information in the show notes.
She has some really great things about how even as people, we tend to accumulate things that we want to be part of who we are. Like, I am a craftsy person. Therefore, I have crafts. I am a bookworm. And so I have lots of books, even though we may not use those crafts and we may not read those books. So sometimes it's hard because those things have that potential. That's the spectrum. We have junk, dingy, character, potential, and that's varied. Of course, there are probably more things you could add to this, but just for me and how I think, that helps me to then decide, what do I do with it next?
I really love this philosophy that you shared with me, because Carley has been the inspiration for me to declutter my home over the last several years. She first introduced me to Marie Kondo on Netflix years ago, and I really loved that philosophy then. But it also felt extremely overwhelming to me because the idea of piling everything into the middle of a room and then going through item by item, the way that she recommends to do, wasn't possible for me in my current state of life. And maybe it would have been possible. It just wasn't a priority, I guess. Whereas this new method has been more helpful, and I can pick and choose what I like from everybody's method. That's been helpful for me. But I like this whole idea that you're saying, Carley, which goes along with Clutterbug's philosophy of, if you haven't used it in a year, if you don't love it, and if you wouldn't buy it again, then get rid of it. Mm-hmm. I feel like you are better at getting rid of things than I am. And I hold on to things. I guess I'm a sentimental person. I didn't really know that about myself, but I tend to hold on to things. If I was ever given anything as a gift, I never want to give it away ever, because I think that person expects me to keep that thing forever and ever, even though I don't have any babies anymore, or even though I'm not a newlywed anymore and I don't need newlywed dating ideas. I feel like there've been all these gifts that were given to me for a wedding or for a baby birth that I just feel this need to keep or to pass on to a specific person, or to make sure that a newlywed gets this newlywed gift that I got, and to make sure that a mom of a baby gets this baby gift that I got. It's a lot for me to keep up with, but one of my gifts is that I'm a very grateful person. On the flip side of that, that means that I'm extremely sentimental and have a hard time separating from things sometimes. But I love those 3 questions that the Clutterbug asks and how it goes along with what you're saying, because at least that gives me a little more freedom, where it's not so black and white of get rid of it if you haven't used it in a year, or get rid of it if it doesn't spark joy. Now I can look at those 3 questions and be like, oh, but I actually would buy that if I found that for the deal that I would be selling it for in Facebook Marketplace, garage sale, all these other places that hopefully we get to dive into and talk a little bit now. But I like that freedom, and I've appreciated that you've shared those accounts with me. I know that next week we'll actually have an awesome episode with Jen, who's going to talk to us about organizing. So that'll be a great way to talk more about some organizing tactics and some other great tips and tricks there. But let's continue on this editing track, Carley. So now that you've got these 4 areas of it's junk, it's dingy, it's got character, it's got potential, we found these items. Now, what do we do with them?
We are 2 different types of people. And you say it's harder for you to get rid of something. And so for those listening, you might feel like that. You've kept these things in your life, in your home, because they matter to you, because it was given by somebody else. It's easy for me to get rid of something. It gives me a sense of relief when I get rid of things. In a way, of course, there are things that I value and want to keep. But for the most part, I think it's also because it's harder for me to keep things clean. In truth, it's harder for me to feel like everything is in its place. Everything has its place in my house. So I'm excited for that organizing episode with Jen. But for me, I am needing to purge, to get rid of things, and it helps me feel more relaxed. We think about things staying in our home, but it really needs to be a cycle of things coming in and things coming out. With all these things coming in, we really need routes out. And so you think of the 2 most often referred to in shows and in books and all these things are donation and trash. Donation includes all those things that are in good condition, that you're not really attached to, but would serve somebody else well. Please do not donate anything that is in disrepair, that doesn't work. They really don't need those things. I think earlier on, even in my life, I was like, I'll just donate this, as if it didn't matter what condition it was in. They would love anything, but that's not true. The people who work at donation stations really have to go through a lot of things. Be kind and donate things that still have value and would serve someone else well.
If you've ever been to a thrift store and you're going through stuff and you're like, this is a waste of my time. Right. Imagine how the people who sorted it and had to price it and hang it on the hanger felt. It's going to take up room at the store. If your stuff is bad enough that a thrift store would want to donate it, you shouldn't be donating it. I think that's a good standard to have as you're donating it. All these categories that you mentioned, that there's junk, there's the dingy things. Would dingy things fall under the category that we would donate?
Possibly. So like with what I referenced as like the nightstand, that could be a project piece for somebody else. You know, if you're donating it and it goes to a Salvation Army and it were priced at $5 for somebody else, they could want that as a project piece, or they really needed a nightstand. That is a little more flexible, but I would say donate if it still works. You could still pull out the drawers. It just doesn't look great. It doesn't fit your aesthetic. It's not something you would want to keep, but it would still work for somebody else.
That is a good point for any sort of donation thrift store, but also to Habitat for Humanity. If you had furniture that needs to be donated, that's a good organization too. If you're donating stuff, they can come pick stuff up from your house depending on the size.
That's a great point. you can have them come pick it up from you. Because there's sometimes that, oh, when am I going to get out and actually donate that? So setting an appointment for somebody to come pick it up is a great thing. That leaves trash. And trash, it's usually pretty easy to trash things that really don't matter. And with that goes back to the donation, and just make sure that line is further so that things that you might have normally donated but were actually trash really do go to the trash. And with trash too, look at places that you could get rid of stuff in bulk if you needed to. If you have a lot of items that you want to get rid of. I have driven cardboard boxes to the cardboard center in our city that I could just drop them off at, or you could look at getting a dump pass and things like that too. If you just want to be like, it's out of the house, it's gone. Those are the two most notable ones. But we want to talk today about other avenues, other routes that we can purge things. And those are garage sale and Facebook Marketplace. And Courtney, I think you should talk about garage sale first because you just had one.
Yes, my husband and I just had a garage sale last weekend, and I learned a lot of lessons from it. And here's what I will tell you right off the bat. We made $116. Woohoo! I can't say that I'm very proud of that $116 because for the amount of time and effort that I spent clearing my house and going through bins and bins of clothes that we weren't using, and I priced everything. I spent so much time organizing and getting clothes set up, and I had tables and racks. I brought my girls' gymnastics rack down to hang clothes on. I hung them all on hangers because I wanted them displayed nicely. We had old furniture for sale. We just pulled everything out that we thought we were ready to separate with it, and we are ready to purge it. We thought that people were just going to flock to this garage sale because it was our whole neighborhood was doing the garage sale. We thought that we were going to have a great turnout. There was a pretty good turnout, but people were not interested in baby things, and nobody wanted our furniture because our old furniture, to be honest, fell in that dingy category. But I thought somebody might want it, but the Arizona sun beats down pretty hard on wicker furniture, so it didn't sell. Anyway, I guess what I would say is my experience with a garage sale is it gave me an opportunity to get paid to declutter because I got paid $116 to declutter my house. That's how I felt. It served its purpose of being an end date to get towards and to give myself that permission to clear the things that didn't sell because my husband has been on me to get rid of things for years.
Yeah.
And so that date served as the like do or die. It was hysterical though, because right after the garage sale ended, my daughters were finishing their gymnastics class. So I had to run and pick them up for gymnastics. What do you think my husband did when I was going to pick my girls up at gymnastics?
Did he start clearing it up?
Oh, he loaded everything onto the trailer and drove it to the nearest Deseret Industries to donate it there.
Wow.
So he donated everything when I was gone.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't want me going back. I knew he was going to do it though, because he told me, I'm going to do this while you're gone. I felt this like frantic speed. I go, I get 10 things. So I went through and grabbed 10 things that I didn't want to donate. These things are going to go to specific people. And so I got that chance to grab my more expensive items that I wouldn't have wanted to sell at the garage sale for even the price I had them at, but I was going to make a justification. Ended up, I would say that I made $116 to edit my home, as you would say. And so for that, I would say it was a success. But for the actual amount of dollars I got for the hours I spent, I made probably like 85 cents an hour.
Yeah. I would call you and you were still preparing for the garage sale and you're preparing. And I'd be like, yeah, when we did that, I remember still being like, what's the point of this? When you go into garage sales, definitely lower your expectations. If your expectations are that you're going to be rolling in the dough, that everybody's going to come in and be like bidding war over what you have, that's definitely not going to be the case. Not that Courtney was thinking that, but like sometimes I've seen, because I've also gone to garage sales where you walk up and they have it priced what I would consider to be outrageous. With all of this, I would say you're really having it priced at a price that is better than somebody might price it at a Goodwill. That's how I at least think about
right.
it.
I wouldn't have priced things higher than a thrift store pricing.
Yeah.
For the most part, my clothes were $1. Everything that was folded on a table was $1 an item. Everything else was priced as marked, and most of them were $2 to $3. Yeah. And those were for like the nicer outfits that had been washed and hung.
I mean, your garage sale probably was amazing. Did you post it anywhere? What was the process like in that?
Well, we posted it on Nextdoor, which is an app for neighbors. If you've ever used it, it's great for community involvement and awareness. So we posted it there. I am on the HOA board because, well, that's a whole nother story. But I'm on my HOA board, so I represented the HOA and posted it on Nextdoor. And then our HOA management company was supposed to do some stuff, but they kind of dropped the ball there a little bit. So it didn't get the promotion that I feel like it should have had for our neighborhood. And then I posted it on Facebook, but here's the thing with Facebook. I was kind of scared because if I posted on Facebook, my name is attached to the neighborhood. And if somebody was to look at photos or was to drive into our neighborhood and realize that I had kids and that I'm posting kid stuff, that was a little bit of a awareness for me. I don't want my personal information at all on this listing for a garage sale at my location. So do you have any advice there, Carley, for posting garage sales?
Well, if that's the case, and you're just a little bit wary about the exact location, but you're okay with maybe the general area, that's when putting cross streets near this road and this road, and then allowing people, if they're going that direction, you put signs out. I'll usually do 3 signs or so, one but one of the main intersections that's near you, and maybe another one directing towards the house, and then one on the other side to catch from both sides. And before you do garage sales, make sure to get a permit in the city that you're in. You can look online usually and see what that is like.
You need a permit to do a garage sale?
Yeah, we had in both places I've lived in, you've had to have a permit. You have to apply online, or you have to either go in person before I've had to do that. And you're only allowed so many. This is true, just depending on the city maybe, but certain cities only allow so many per quarter or per year. You have to check on that as well. There are also times of the year that are better for garage selling. So when it's good weather, that's usually good garage selling time. August and September in Texas is really hot. So spring and the fall are good, because you're realizing people are going to be outside. Like you said, the scorching heat can affect your items, or knowing ahead of time what the weather is going to be like is really helpful.
We had weather working in our favor. We had quantity of things working in our favor. We had amazing pricing working in our favor. We did not have any success with it. I don't know what else could have been different. So I just would say I would give a garage sale a big thumbs down from Courtney Lewis.
But do you feel better now that those things are not in your house?
Ask me in like 2 weeks, because it's still a hard thing. Getting rid of things, I have this connection to things that's really abnormal. I think I will feel better. I will say this, and this is actually another quote from your Clutterbug account that you suggested to me. She says that the clutter isn't what's on your counters, it's what's in your closets, because what's on your counters is what you use. You just don't have room for it in your closets to put it away. So you need to clear out that stuff that's in your closets that's been taking up room. So in our garage sale was a lot of that stuff that's in the closets. Now, all the stuff that was on my kitchen counter that was just taking up space, like my bill pay station on my little island in my kitchen as extra stuff, now that has a place to go inside of a drawer, because now I don't have a drawer with 60 pot holders. It's only got 8. I don't need all of those things. I was able to purge all of them. So that was helpful, because I feel like now I have room to keep things, and it cleared my house out. So I feel like, yes, that would be the perk, is that I feel like I can see that my house is cleaner and it makes me happy. Do I feel better? Like, obviously I'm not attached to the pot holders, but there are certain things that were a little hard to get rid of. The girl clothes, it's like the baby clothes, and not because I have any intentions of having another baby, but because I just have memories with the clothes. The clothes took up the most room, and baby toys, all that kind of stuff. I hate to say I'm dogging on garage sales, because I've had good experiences with them, but selling at one was not my favorite. Carley, though, I would love to hear your opinion on Facebook Marketplace, because I feel like, I don't want to say you're the queen of it, because I'd love to have a competition to see which of us is better at Facebook Marketplace.
In preparation for this, you asked me what my rating was on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear this. Let's see which of us is the queen.
I am pretty proud of myself. I have 23 reviews on Facebook Marketplace, and they're all 5-star.
My score is, I've got a 4.9 star rating. Dang it, you beat me.
Whoop, whoop. I know this is not that big of a deal. I was like, well, maybe I could put it on my LinkedIn profile or something. How is this a marketable trait for myself?
It's a resume builder.
This is my time to shine, is about Facebook Marketplace, which I told you is like the wild, wild west of selling things in a way. It's not as sketchy as Craigslist, thankfully.
Oh, no.
Because you do have that social credibility, because you can look into people's profiles. So be always aware of that and what information you put out. let's get to the nitty gritty here.
Since you're the queen.
Yeah. Because I've been around the block a time or two on Facebook Marketplace, you have those that post things and they'll either price something way above what they should have. And that's annoying for someone else who is looking at it. So if you're putting something on there, be sure to look at what it would be priced at now if it's still on the market, and then take off at least half. Okay, it's been used, and undersell it in a way. If it's not something that's in mint condition, still in the box, new in box, NIB is a term that you can use in the description and in the categories or how you define the item within the product description. So you can put new in box. It can be good quality, fair. I usually tend to be as low on that as I would see it just looking at it. But what you can do is take good pictures. Be very honest in your words about what it looks like, everything that you've experienced with it, if it's missing a piece, if it's needing repair in this one area. And then when you take the pictures, have good lighting, have multiple pictures from different angles, use something in the picture to give a relative size, already have pre-measured it and have that in the description, because everybody and their dog is going to ask for the exact measurements of it.
And if it's available.
If somebody just sends you, is it still available? That is the automated request. So if they're just fairly interested, and you will have people on Facebook Marketplace, it is a very flaky group of people who really don't care that much for something, but might if you were to give it to them for free and drive it to their house.
I think it's funny that you're talking about the Facebook Marketplace crowd as a flaky group, because I've got to be honest here. Full disclosure, I've been that person before who said, it's still available. And then when they respond, yes, I don't respond back because I don't really need that item. I was just curious if it was still available. So you probably would not have appreciated me as a buyer.
So you have to be careful. If you're posting something less than $5, it's not worth it unless you're grouping it with something else. Take good pictures, group like things together. So if you're posting vases, you have a lot of really good vases. Post those vases together. Take a picture of all the vases first and have that as the first picture, and then go through and take a picture of each grouping that you'd like to sell. If you have multiple listings, make sure in your description of each one to say, see other listings too, if you're trying to get rid of multiple things, because they can click on your name and see your other listings at that time too. So if you're wanting someone to come to your house and get multiple things, then that's a good place for that.
That's genius. I've never done that before.
Use the message. If they are going back and forth with you and they're asking for something that you have, say, hey, are you interested in this too? If they're going for clothes, say, and they're getting some shoes from you that are boy shoes, and you're like, hey, I also have some summer outfits. Try it. Ask them if they're looking for anything or if they needed anything else, because you might be able to fill that need for them. And it's a lot better for you to have one person come than try to go back and forth with a lot of people. As fast as you can, get them to commit to a time. You will know the people who are real and quality by their commitment, and use Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, but usually Venmo and Zelle are the best options for payment.
So you're more comfortable getting an automatic or a digital payment than cash, huh?
Oh, yes. Yes. I wouldn't do cash. I think no.
How does one share their Venmo? You share it via
it would be
the Messenger app?
Messenger. So you would have to have gone back enough with them to know that they're really wanting to buy it. Typically, they'll say something like, is it still available? You just say yes and see if they come back. Don't try to give a lot of information in that response text because it's not worth it. If they come back and say, yes, I'd like to get it. Is there anything else I should know about it? That's when you can answer the question and say, would you like to pick up? If you do, just start making arrangements. I always have people pay before they come.
Huh.
It makes it so it's like, hey, you can pay for it. And then I will say, I'm going to put this on the porch. That's another term. So we've listed so far NIB, which is new in box. Then you also have something called PPU, which is Porch Pick Up. And Porch Pick Up is great, especially with COVID. because it's just another way not to have to deal with people in person. But with Facebook Marketplace, it's one of the beauties of being able to sell something is that you can put it on your front porch and that they will come and get that. Of course, if it's something that's like a really expensive item, maybe an electronic thing, you'll want to know when they're coming and then make sure you know the window and then you put it out around that time. I personally don't like when someone wants to come see the item before they buy it, because I would have done a good enough job in my pictures for them to have seen it and gotten a good sense of what it's like. And I will answer any questions. And if it really matters that much about the exact hue of it or something, they're probably going to be hard to work with anyways. It takes a lot of mental leaps when you're buying something online. You have to be able to see it and be able to understand how that's going to work in your space. If they're good enough to understand the value of this piece, because we're pricing something well below what you'd buy it at, but it's still a great item, you're just going to want to make sure that you're not spending a lot of extra time trying to sell something that really sells itself. And the people who are quality are going to try to be quick on that. And that's how you make the sale quick. That is part of the beautiful feeling of purging, right? That maybe is hard with a garage sale because you go through all this painstaking effort to organize and display and present it, and you want all the people to appreciate it. With Facebook Marketplace, you set it and then you don't have to think about it. You can take good pictures, give a great description, and then wait until they come to you for it. You'll have to give yourself a window of time that you are okay with keeping something. And that window of time can increase depending on the price point of the item that you're selling. So if you're selling something that is a larger item, but is really quality, you might want to hold on to it a little bit longer, allow for more people to have the option to see it. Large items are often harder for people to transport. But when you do find someone who would like it, like a large couch, and they see that it's a good deal, then they will move mountains in order to get it. You have to understand that they might need a little bit more work on their end to arrange a truck or something else. Again, prepayment really helps. And the majority of people have some kind of electronic payment method. Look into that if you don't know about that. So those are some easy ways to use Facebook to your advantage. I could go on and on about this, which is kind of silly.
It's not silly. Carley loves talking about Facebook Marketplace, and we've had so many back and forth conversations about this topic, which is where the idea for this one came from. Because when I was talking to her about the garage sales and she's like, oh, well, I just sold such and such on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, well, wishing I'd done Facebook Marketplace. But when you have a lot of things you need to get through, Facebook Marketplace is difficult because, like Carley's saying, you want good photos. Well, I'm not going to take good photos in my garage when I'm prepping everything for a garage sale because everything's all right on top of each other. So I like what Carley's saying about photos, because when I've sold something before on Facebook Marketplace with success, like bar stools, it was so nice to take a picture of the bar stools in the setting because I was waiting to buy new bar stools until I sold my old ones. And it was perfect because I literally had them set up and it was a perfect photo op because here they are. I had the dimensions. They sold in a few hours and it was perfect because then I got to go buy new ones. I knew the new ones I wanted. I just needed to wait until I had room. Out with the old, in with the new. But with a garage sale, I don't really have the time to post each thing individually.
Well, the point I was going to make too about holding things for a while is once it's hit a week, it will say on the listing that it's been over a week. You should probably renew the listing. You also have to price it when you initially list it, maybe a little bit higher than what would be your kind of bottom price. If you have something that you're like, the least I could take for this would be $30. I would price it at $45 and work your way down from that, or do it at $40. And then after a week's time, bring it down $10. You don't have to do it in such small increments. It's more about the ratio of the price and bring it down significantly enough that it might draw a different group that would be more willing to buy it at that price point. I would say to look at refreshing the listing too, if it's been a bit, and you can do that. I want to say it's every 7 days. So if it's something like a couch, it's taking up space, but you haven't decided what you would do with it other than Facebook Marketplace, then I would renew and refresh that listing frequently and maybe put in the description, if it's listed, it's still available. I've also put it in the description, do not ask if it's still available. because it's a quick way.
Whoa, that's snarky.
I love when other people are to the point when I have bought things on Facebook Marketplace. It is not about building friendships. It is just about get me what I needed. And this is a good exchange and it's business is business. You can say, don't ask that. And if people are asking that, then you already know that they didn't really read through and are just browsing, which is also something that a lot of people do. It's a great place or a great route to have available, especially if you're not able to get out the things that you need to in one big go. As you're cleaning, you're like, oh, what do I do with this? Take that moment, take a picture of it. When you're going through your things and say you find something, you realize it has value. You want it to go to somebody else who could continue loving it. And it would be great to maybe see a little bit of the money that you spent on it come back to you because it's still in great condition. That's where Facebook Marketplace is a great thing. And a lot more people are turning to that to buy things because inflation is just so crazy. So you're really doing a good service in a way. You're allowing people to get the things that they would normally want and maybe at that moment wouldn't buy at a store. It's great for clothing for kids. I think doing bulk clothing sizes at a low price is a great thing. You can do furniture pieces that maybe just don't fit with what you have in the house. And then realizing that you could use the money that you make from that to maybe swap for something else that you would prefer. It's that cycle in and out.
The few times I've sold something on Facebook Marketplace, I prefer that. And that idea of it giving you a better feeling about where it's going. For people that are like me, that are a little more sentimentally attached, it does make you feel like you have a little bit of a connection. I think that you can find your groove with Facebook Marketplace because like Carley's way of receiving payment beforehand and porch pickup, that is extremely efficient. If you're looking to have things in, things out, like purge, just get it out. I think that is super awesome, super efficient. The way I've done it in the past hasn't been quite that way. And maybe that's why I've not done it more because my way has taken more time. I don't ask me if it's still available. So I get a lot of those kind of questions. That takes more time. But in my experience, I had these couches I really didn't want to separate with, but I needed to separate with them. In this scenario, I'd bought a new couch, but I had these old couches I needed to sell. Mm-hmm. But I bought the new couch and the old couches were just taking up room in my garage. Yeah. I was like, okay, I've got to sell these. And it was a more old world style. So it was not a younger generation that wanted them. It was the older generation, which meant that I had people coming to my house that were more of the Gen X crowd, and they would not be comfortable doing Venmo or Zelle. They wanted cash and they wanted that experience of negotiating the price with me in my garage and telling me that they were going to have the couches cleaned. And, oh, look here, there's a slight part of this wood or this edge or this leg that is damaged in some way, even though I'm like, no, I don't see what you're talking about. And they're like, no, but it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't allow for that. Sorry, I'm listening and I'm like, I would want all questions to be taken beforehand as much as possible. And that's why the porch pickup and not having interaction is really a good thing.
These people loved the couch. I ended up saying, okay, fine, whatever. Let's just go. So they offered me less. Yeah, that's fine. I priced it higher than I wanted because I knew that this demographic was going to try and negotiate whoever came because everybody was telling me they would come. It was funny because then they showed up and they brought less money than they told me they were going to bring.
Oh yeah, they knew what they were going to do.
Exactly. But I was okay with it. I was expecting that. Listen, I'm older than you, Carley. I'm seasoned in this. I'm seasoned in the old school ways of Facebook Marketplace / Craigslist. I knew Craigslist. I was prepared for this. And hey, I've done it myself. So when they came and negotiated, I'm like, I get this. I know what you're doing. I also needed it gone. It was literally taking up room in my garage that my husband needed to park his car. So it was good to have it out. But I feel like there's different ways. Your way is more efficient. My way is less efficient. And so I guess your way is better.
I'm not going to say that. No, like that. It's good that you bring that up. It is important to realize that there are those that are going to want a different experience. Okay. So I'm thinking about maybe things that are more in the lower price range usually, or I don't have as much connection to. I have also priced them. This is another term, price to sell, that you put in your description, because that means this is priced so well. That's it. If you put OBO, that means or best offer.
Prepare to get lowballed.
You're going to get lowballed. Yeah. A lot of times people think that means, or somebody's going to bid higher than that, or best offer. But it's like, no, that's like, or worst offer. Like you are settling. You're planning to settle for whatever somebody gave you.
OWO, oh, worst offer.
Yeah, I don't put OBO. It's always Venmo or Zelle, and no holds is another term. So I'm not going to hold it until next month. If you feel like you have a connection with the person, of course, and they give you their reason why it'll take longer and you feel like that's okay, that's good. That's a really good thing for you to do. We're talking in the sense of you're wanting to make some money off of it. And you also want it to be, like you said, an efficient process that allows you to get rid of something that has value for a really good deal where you feel like the exchange was mutually beneficial, but nothing more time consuming for you. So it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, actually, I'm looking to sell it sooner. People aren't really upset by that because these are all things that they want. These are not necessarily needs that we're really selling.
Good points. I think those have been super helpful. I like this idea of porch pickup. I'm going to have to try this, and receiving payments through Venmo or Zelle. I've never done that before. That would push me outside of my comfort zone a little bit, but I'm willing to try anything. So I'll give it a shot. And Carley, is that our call to action this week? What do you think? Have everybody sell something?
I definitely think it's something for everyone to try out. I wouldn't sell something that is below $20, let's say. Try to find something that you wanted to get rid of that you could sell for $20.
And I'll tell you, the place to go looking for what you're going to sell isn't on your counter. It's not the clutter that you're seeing every day. It's something in a closet that you haven't looked at in a long time. So look for that ladder that you've never used, or look for that purse that you haven't held in years. Whatever is in the back of your closet or in the back corner of your garage, something that you're not using, that is going to sell. Like all those things that I just mentioned, specifically like designer purses, any sort of equipment that you have. That was the first thing people asked me for, by the way, at my garage sale. Do you have any tools?
Yes. Tools are the probably highest requested item, and kitchen appliances are usually pretty good if in good working condition. Things that don't sell very well are home decor items, unless it is notable brand, unless it's something that is trendy currently. So if you were to do something that was obviously dated that you could find at a donation place, then yeah, probably not something like that. But
appliances, that's a good one to think about. Like if you've got a panini maker that you've never used since your wedding day, or a skillet that's still new in box.
Have I told you about my panini maker? Is that why you brought that up? Because
No,
I have a panini maker that we have not.
I did not know that.
I guess I told her that. Nope. That's funny.
But I donated a quesadilla maker once, and Cam and I regret that every day.
That is really funny.
It was so sad. So I keep my panini maker, and we have used it. We actually use it more to grill chicken. We use it like a George Foreman instead of a panini maker, but it works.
There is a cycle here too within this, that you might get really good at selling on Facebook Marketplace and then start selling things because you're having fun with it. And you might get 23 reviews in and realize, oh, maybe there are certain things I didn't have to sell, but it was so fun.
Freeing. Purge.
I enjoy it. I do. But yeah, it's something fun to look around and see something that maybe doesn't fit in with the rest that you could sell. So go and try it and let us know how it goes.
So Carley, before we end this, I do have one last question for you that we haven't talked about. Safety on Facebook Marketplace. I know some people are going to be listening to this episode and they're going to be like, okay, but I have to be safe when I do my sales. Do we want to touch on that at all?
I think it's a good point to bring up. If you are really worried about it, nothing is worth your stress. If it causes you that much stress, I don't think it's something that maybe would be for you if you're really worried about it. If your area that you're living in is someplace that you would be wary about putting that information out there, you might want to just look for maybe a church swap meet of some kind, or an opportunity to sell between friends. They have some of those pages. I would say maybe just not do it. I've also sold for friends of mine who were wary of doing it for themselves. So you might have a friend who is more apt to doing something like that, and you could ask if they could sell it for you. I would say that those are the ways that you could go around. But of course, if you don't feel safe, don't do it. It's not worth it.
I appreciate that perspective. I do think I'm the more anxious person when it comes to my safety. As you know, it's common for me to be playing out in my head how I would respond if somebody attacked me at any given moment. I'm always thinking about that. So I don't feel like I'm that afraid to sell on Facebook Marketplace, because I have a plan in the back of my head of what I would do if things went wrong. It's obscure, but I always think like that. And so there are times when I don't really want to go do this meetup unless I have my husband in the car with me. So we'll do a meetup if I'm a little bit cautious instead of giving my address. So certain things I'd be comfortable doing porch pickup on, certain things I want to do a meetup because I don't want somebody to know where I live.
Mm-hmm.
But that idea of if this is really causing you stress, then this isn't the avenue for you. So our call to action this week is to sell something on Facebook Marketplace. We'd love to hear your experiences, good, bad, or ugly, because this is all about purging, and this is going to be fun. We're going to all learn from this. And join us next week for our episode with Jen when we talk about how to organize. And she has some amazing tips and tricks for us on organizing your spaces. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are the Hey Sister Podcast. Thank you, sister, so much for listening to us today on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, we would love your 5-star review. Just like Carley gets her 5 stars on Facebook Marketplace, we're always going for 5 stars. You can leave reviews or comments on YouTube if you happen to be streaming from there. We would love to connect with y'all. We will talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have some really nice handwritten / typed reviews from people.
Yeah, read one.
I don't have it pulled up right now. You're going to put me on the spot.
Prove it.
Okay, fine. Here we go. Oh, so there's only one, actually. The rest of them gave me... Wait, why would somebody give me 4 stars and then give me all the things that I'm good in? I'm good at product quality, item description, shipping speed, and communication, 4 stars. Why wouldn't you give me 5 stars if you say I'm great at all those things? That's weird. But yeah, the handwritten one. So I guess there's only one that was actually written out, which was speedy shipping and good communication, reasonable pricing. Tops were pink like I needed for breast cancer awareness.
Aw, that's great.
Yeah, that was nice. So I'm glad I got somebody to write nice things to me.
So this is what you have to look forward to, sisters. You have nice reviews from people.